I think I just got 3 of them. Hey guys, Joe with the Pierce Brothers. Today I'm going to be doing a gear spotlight and talking about how to set up your AR15. Alright guys, before we dive into this video and talk about how to set up your AR15, make sure to go check out our Patreon. Like, share, subscribe. Your support is the only way this channel is possible. So this particular gun, I've got an LVPO, a 6 hour 1 to 6 power, which gives you a little better power for those far targets. And then I've got this red dot here on the side. So let's say suddenly we had a bad guy close. Knocked my steel off. But you can transition really rapidly from close to far targets really easily. So that's a benefit of this. That being said, I have a couple of other guns that are set up differently. So let's go take a look at them. All right guys, so here I've got 2 different ARs. These are kind of my primary rifles for pretty much any situation out there. I've got them both set up very similarly as far as grips and controls, but the difference is the optics. So like I just showed, the BCM here, I've got an LVPO, a 1 to 6 power 6 hour scope. On the side we just have a little red dot, but that allows you to transition quickly from far targets to your close targets. Biggest downside to this is that it's really more for those mid-range targets. It doesn't work great for close quarters. You still have that red dot for that option, but it's not really set up for that. A benefit of that is it gives you a nice clear sight picture down range at those further distances, the 1 to 300 or 400 yard range. So that's a really great setup if you're shooting longer distances more frequently, but still want it to have a close quarters option. Now we're also going to talk about lights, slings, and a whole bunch of other stuff as we go here. But next setup I have is this on my Colt M4. We've got an EOTech with a 4 power 6 hour magnifier. So this is a holographic sight from EOTech. Nice thing about a holographic sight is the batteries are, this one runs on AA batteries, so batteries are easy and cheap. The downside is the battery life is not great. So it's only about 1,000 hours of battery life depending on what type of battery you're using and what brightness setting you have it on. So I leave this on like as a home defense or a truck gun, I just swap the batteries about every 3 weeks. They'll go for about a month to 5 weeks, but I do it every 3 weeks just to make sure that I've always got battery life. On this one I do have some backup iron sights, so should my EOTech fail me, I do have iron sights that I can co-witness through the red dot. So this is my preferred setup because I can hit the close targets with the red dot, I can flip my magnifier up and then have 4 power magnification for some of those further targets. The downside is that those further targets, you don't get near as clear of a sight picture as you would on the scope, the LVPO. I'm a little dyslexic too, so I might say LVPO. LVPO, low
you know
power,
what we're talking about.
Yeah. Low power variable scope or optic. So now if you'll notice on these guns, my light placement is the exact same on both of them. This is a Streamlight TLR Streamlight ProTac HL. If you'll notice, there are 2 different models though. One is the M-Lock version, which will attach to my M-Lock rail on the BCM. This one is a railed version for the quad rail on the Colt. Now they both have a pressure switch up top. It allows you to depress this button for temporary on off while you hold the button, or you can press this other button to turn the light on and it will stay on. But that way my grip around the gun can remain the same and I can activate and deactivate that light without moving my hand at all, so that if I'm running the gun and I have to activate the light, my grip doesn't change. It stays in the same spot no matter how I'm shooting.
Here, I'm gonna get kind of out towards the front so people can see.
Yeah, so that way that thumb can just activate the light or turn it on and off depending on what I need without having to reach around or reach under, whatever. It's just right there, pressure switch, and you're good to go. So that's where I put my light. Because I'm right-handed, it's on the left side. Pressure switch is on the top so I can have that C kind of grip on my gun. And these grips, I don't ever grip them like this. It's always a C grip up above. That grip is really just a stop for me. So if you'll notice, got too many guns here. On the BCM, it has more of a spot for that hand to lock in and hold, which is also a really great grip option. So that, but that allows you to have your hand out a little bit further for that rifle so that you can maneuver the gun however you need to maneuver it. Now, let's transition. So I guess that's really the pros and cons there. My preferred method though for setup is going to be with the red dot magnifier, because I really don't shoot far that often. But if you do have further targets you're shooting at, like we were just shooting some little ground squirrels, the LVPO is a great choice, and you get a much clearer sight picture. Eye relief though, with your red dot magnifier off, you have pretty much unlimited eye relief. You can have your head anywhere and still see that dot. Once you put the magnifier up, your eye relief shrinks, so you have to have your eye up close in order to see through that dot.
Why don't you show us what you mean?
So here I am, red dot down. I've got eye relief pretty much everywhere. Put your magnifier down. Now you have to pull up to that red dot just like you would on a scope. So
shorter eye
anyways,
relief,
but that gives you the benefit of kind of both worlds. You don't get as clear of a sight picture with a magnifier as you do on the LVPO, but you do get a good sight picture at those further distances. But it's also a fixed power, whereas the LVPO, you can adjust your magnification depending on the target and distance. So again, pros and cons to both setups. Now, sling wise, that's another whole topic here. So I prefer to put my slings, as you'll see my stock here from BCM does have the QD swivel spots on both sides. It also has the hole there you can put your strap through directly. I prefer though to try to shrink my sling and get it as close to center of the gun. If you'll notice on the BCM, I've got it attached here at the rear plate and then at the back of my my rail, so that I have more maneuverability with that rifle in close quarters. If you have your sling way out at the front and clear at the back, it'll bind a little bit and you can't maneuver the rifle as easily as you can with it up close. So if you'll notice on the Colt, I was a little limited because it has a built-in sling out here at the front, but this is such a short quad rail anyway. That sling is still in a spot where it gives me good maneuverability. I did swap out the back plate here though, so I could put my sling in the rear and shrink it up some. When it was back here for the few days while I was waiting on a part to show up, it just restricts that mobility of the rifle. So that's how I place my slings. Gives me a good option for moving that rifle as needed. But yeah, light, especially if it's going to be a personal defense weapon, is hugely important, and being able to activate that light without changing your grip is also very important, because you just don't know if you're going to have a scenario that you need your rifle and you don't know what the light conditions are going to be, so you got to make sure you have a light on there. It does add a small amount of weight, but to me it's a minimal amount. Now if I was going to be out trekking a long ways with my rifle, I'd take that light off during the day, put it back on before it got dark, just to save weight on the rifle. And that's another note, is that an LVPO typically will weigh more than your red dot would. So by having your scope and a red dot, you're going to add a little extra weight as well. So this rifle will wind up being heavier than a rifle that's set up with a red dot and magnifier. Now this one kind of voids that because I have the quad rail on there, which weighs a little more, but quad rails are the coolest options out there for for a guard out here. So I had to get kind of that classy looking M4. But I also do run the backups. That's another thing to mention, is that a benefit of having the magnifier that can swap, you can still run your backup sights as a co-witness through your red dot, whereas with the scope, you would have to put an offset iron sight on there in order to have iron sights, because your scope's not going to flip out of the way like the Magnifier does. So I hope that kind of helps cover some of the features. I also prefer more vertical pistol grip for my AR15 grip. It's just more natural and feels better when you're shooting, especially longer periods of time. Your A2 style grips and that are just curved enough that it's a little uncomfortable for your wrist. So that's kind of a rundown on how I set up my AR-15s. I've got one other gun over here we'll take a look at real quick as well. Alright guys, so here's one other gun. I've got my PWS little shorty, so to say. We've got an SB tactical brace on the back. Same style pistol grip. I like that vertical grip, and I run this one with a red dot magnifier as well. And I still have my backup iron sights that can flip up. They're just a Magpul iron sight. So this one is a little more simple though, with my light out here at the front. I just have, it's kind of a handgun light on there, and I can hit it with my finger as needed to click it on and off.
Up so we can see.
Yeah, without having to move my grip though. I can just use the tip of my finger and click that on and off. So again, important. Now this light is much smaller. This is more of my truck gun, so I don't have the big bulky light on there. I wanted something small, more compact, but still in a spot where I can hit it without changing my grip on the gun. So that's kind of the other option there for a shorter rifle setup. If there's more videos you want to see on these, I mean, we've got full-length videos on each of these rifles, so if you want to go watch those some. Really great guns. I like all three of them a lot. They're all quality guns for the money, and I recommend them 100%. And having shot and set up a lot of different ARs, this is kind of what I settled on. So I made the BCM kind of my permanent scoped rifle. The Colt is my red dot magnifier combo for any of those close quarters grab and go rifle, and then the truck gun is the PWS. So anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I would suggest, you know, if I had to make one recommendation, I would go with the red dot and magnifier combo, because I typically am not shooting very far with my ARs, and so I prefer to have that close quarters option. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.